For 97 years, Texas Southern University has stood as a pillar of excellence, opportunity, and leadership. Throughout every era, TSU has empowered generations, broken barriers, and stood on the front lines of social justice. The halls echo with the laughter of students who have walked before us, each contributing to a rich tapestry woven from resilience and pride. From civil rights pioneers to global leaders, TSU has championed progress, nurturing students who rise to meet the challenges of tomorrow and who have transformed communities and industries across the nation. Rooted in history, we honor that past, but we also gaze ahead, our eyes fixed on the horizon of opportunity. Today, Texas Southern University is positioned for growth and innovation, preparing students to lead in the most critical eras of emerging trends. At the helm of this storied institution, appointed by our Honorable Board of Regents and leading us into this new era, is Vice Admiral James W. Crawford III, the 14th President of Texas Southern University, a retired military leader with a lifetime of service to his country. President Crawford is dedicated to guiding TSU on a new journey of excellence, uniting tradition with the bold vision for the future. As we honor our legacy, we stand on the shoulders of giants, those who forged this institution with their dreams, struggles, and unwavering commitment to education. With a firm foundation and forward-thinking vision, Texas Southern University is poised to lead. Vice Admiral Crawford's vision is clear: commitment, action, and outcomes equal change which drives success. Join us as we reflect on the achievements of today, chart the course for tomorrow, and embrace the potential of Texas Southern University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 14th President of Texas Southern University, Vice Admiral James W. Crawford III.
I will talk about institutions, some statistics-wise toward the end, some larger overview-wise toward the end. But the state, as I've heard said many times from the well of a much larger location, the state of this institution is strong. And I'm also going to be this is really the first formal sort of introduction in many ways about how I'm thinking, how I do think, what I've seen, and how that has impacted me. This has been a great homecoming week. It's been my very first homecoming week here at Texas Southern University, starting with the gospel concert on Sunday evening. Got off to the right start, the right frame of mind, acknowledging where all things start. Each day has held something special over the course of this week. I'm humbled and honored to serve this institution, and most particularly the students. I want to assure our students that everything I do is focused on ensuring student success and the integrity of this university. Nothing and no one comes before these two fundamental principles. These are the two guiding posts of how we will go forward. We in this room are privileged to be links in the unbroken chain, starting with our university founders, who with great fortitude, perseverance, and a standard of excellence endured the challenges presented to them because they could see the future. We are that future. Likewise, every Texas Southern University generation, while firmly rooted in the reality of the present, with its ever-evolving challenges, must constantly look to the future to facilitate and ensure the ever-brightening future of Texas Southern University. And I've had this week, and since the last 125 days, to actually experience that ever-brightening future. The other evening, a coronation of the Royal Court was the most exciting moment, I think, and among many exciting moments. And I say that because as I speak about the future, I was looking at the future. I mentioned to them that a couple of weeks ago I went to the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington and was invited to an event at the White House, held on the White House lawn. And it was named, it was hosted by the Biden administration, obviously, and it was named Black Excellence. And you had Black luminaries from every walk of life, actors, politicians, legislators, commentators, you name it, they were there. But there was nothing they did, and they all wore white. It was beautiful. But with all that I saw at that point, none of that equaled what I saw at our coronation on the last evening, because that bright and brilliant future was burning in the eyes of every one of those students. And I want to acknowledge here that we lost one of those bright and brilliant students earlier last week who would have been there. And so when we think about change that's going to come, some of it you're not going to like, some of it you're going to embrace, some of it's going to be hard. But when we think about change and going through those changes, I ask you to hearken back to why we're doing it, and about the expectations of Isaiah Blair, who, had he still been with us, will be one of our future bankers of America. I've gone to every home football game, and they all haven't gone the way we wanted. But what I've seen in every instance of those games, those kids never stop fighting. It doesn't matter. They never stop fighting. That comes from inside them, but that also comes from the environment that we're providing. All of our kids must never stop fighting. Our young masters of aviation, soon will be flying, many of us. We'll soon walk onto airplanes, and we'll see some of our students who will hold our lives in their hands. That probably makes us a little bit nervous, haven't known them. But it's something to smile about. I've met with our law students, and I'm looking forward to meeting with the administration and faculty. And all those law students are asking for is the aid to be able to lay their brick in the road of TSU success. We must aid that. We must assist that. We must make that happen. I spent the last 125 days working alongside an incredible team. And I said to them yesterday, I could not have asked for a better team. I am so proud to be among you, so humbled to be among you. And I'm appreciative for every single thing all of you have done since I've been here, this entire team. I've worked with this team with an eye to the next horizon for Texas Southern University. In the path to attain what I see as the future of brilliance and opportunity. Since my arrival, I have listened to many voices and have come to understand many things. And I would like to share a few of those observations and how I'll proceed as president. Houston is an ideal location for a university, and we're acting on that advantage. The relationships currently growing in various venues across the Metroplex and beyond is already bearing good fruit for this institution. And there's more to follow that will make everyone associated in these relationships proud to be a part of it. For example, the university held a groundbreaking event yesterday where we actually really broke ground for the institution's first baseball softball facility. That was in large part made possible by the relationship cultivated by our AD with the Houston Astros. And the cooperation, give them a round of applause. And the cooperation of the Houston Independent School District and the Ace High School. That partnership, not only will we have a facility, but it creates a relationship within this community and with that institution that will be strong and fruitful for this institution. But TSU had not previously acted on those existing relationships. We were waiting for a perfect moment. I would not be talking to you about having broke ground yesterday had we continued to wait for the perfect moment. There is no such thing as a perfect moment. You only achieve if you take decisive action with speed. This leadership team will pursue a course of thoughtful, decisive action and will celebrate the successes with you and also stand up when things don't go the way it's planned. I must say that I've received a very warm welcome since arriving here in Houston, arriving here at Texas Southern University, and I'm very appreciative. My family is on an airplane coming into town for a homecoming weekend, and I'm excited about seeing them, and I'm excited about introducing you to them. They are the best part of me. I've been introduced everywhere I've gone as Vice Admiral, but I am outranked in my household, which should come as no surprise to any of you women in here. But it is easy to tell, it was easier for me to tell upon coming to TSU as president that came as a surprise to some, and perhaps many. I know some have wondered what motivated him to come. Will he stay? Most importantly, can he navigate the waters of TSU and the many variables associated with this institution? Considering that there's been a substantial turnover in leadership, those of late, those are fair considerations. The first thing I will say, the opportunity to cultivate the innate excellence that is resident here at TSU is what motivates me. I also understand how important continuity is at this point in time in the history of this institution. Texas Southern University sits at a crossroads, and we must deliver right now, because as they say, the eyes of Texas are upon us. I'm not new to navigating through complexity. I walked the ground in a zone of active armed combat. I have experienced storm-force seas, both figuratively and actually, and have operated and excelled in the most intricate city in the world, Washington, D.C. I understand complexity. I'm here to do this job, and we will succeed. Notwithstanding whether the obstacles are real or contrived. I've been told many times since my arrival that HBCUs are different. Not with any explanation of what that difference may be, just that HBCUs are different. And I'm not sure why some have felt the need to tell me that, perhaps because I did not attend an HBCU. Perhaps there's a sense I don't understand. Understanding comes on many levels. What you can see, and also what is there unseen, and often masquerading as something else. As for the seen, I've had quite a bit of experience with higher education, directly and indirectly, including law schools. And this is relevant here at Texas Southern University because Texas Southern University, this HBCU, is one of only 6 HBCU of over 100 in this country that has a law school. And the only law school named after, in my humble estimation, the greatest African-American jurist in the history of this nation, Thurgood Marshall. For 6 years prior to departing active service, I engaged routinely with law schools all over the country, including those at the very pinnacle of law school excellence. I did so in my capacity as I sent my officers to these law schools to acquire advanced degrees. Some of these schools were part of larger universities like Thurgood Marshall and TSU, and others were standalone institutions. I understand the ABA rule set regarding law education, and my responsibilities as the CEO of Texas Southern University to ensure excellence across the full domain of this institution, undergraduate, graduate, and professional. I am not a member of the Academy, but I understand shared governance, the bedrock of institutions of higher education. Although I am certain we will have, particularly the faculty in AIU, many conversations about shared governance, and that is good. Goodness can come from active conversation. Shared governance, much like the military's chain of command, is designed to provide a framework for deliberative, thoughtful conversation, more importantly, action, to allow the voices of the varying constituencies to be heard. But the objective, as I just stated, is not deliberation or discussion. It is about taking action, and taking action with speed, and delivering outcomes that benefit the institution and the members thereof. TSU will be an action-oriented organization focused on delivering outcomes as we listen and collaborate together. As for the unseen, like many in this room, I experienced the street before I experienced law school. Both of those educations have been extremely helpful for me. While I may not have attended an HBCU, what I know with certainty is that there is no rule set just for HBCUs, and then another rule set for all other colleges and universities. There's only one rule set for excellence in higher education. Texas Southern University must and will operate as efficaciously as any other institution in this country, expending its resources appropriately in the interest of this university and the members thereof that endeavor to make it great. My fiduciary responsibility to this institution demands nothing less. Our HBCU graduates must be able to compete against any graduate, no matter what institution they come from. They must be able to compete and win against any competition. Achieving this outcome will be the focus of this university. Over the past 125 days, I've had the privilege of immersing myself in the life of this university. I've met with students who are full of promise, faculty who are dedicated beyond measure, staff who carry the institution forward every single day, and alumni whose loyalty and commitment is inspirational. I appreciate the boards and regents, and I look forward to success as we lead this institution. I've also been struck by the amazing generosity of our donors since coming to this role of leadership. I will not name them here, but there has been some who have invested greatly in this institution. They know who they are. There's been one particular supporter whose forward-thinking generosity is going to facilitate great things here at Texas Southern. I anticipate the quality of what we will do here will draw more individuals and others to invest in this institution, those with similar values and similar interests as those of us here at Texas Southern University. These 125 days, I've said it a couple of times, but who's counting, right? These 125 days have also shown me without question that Texas Southern is an institution of great potential and unlimited promise. Better yet, we have begun to open the door to fulfillment of that potential, and realize that promise that many of you in conversations with me have expressed. As I noted earlier, TSU stands at a pivotal juncture in its history. Our path forward will be defined by three core principles: renew, enhance, and expand, which fall under commitment, action, and outcomes. And I'll speak to that a little more fully as I go forward. To renew under commitment. To renew is about more than just revitalizing what already exists. I'm not here just to shine the apple. To renew means discarding any construct or proposal or anything else that detracts or distracts from being laser focused on the main thing. And that main thing is the advantage and the advance of this university into the leading edge of higher education. We will do this by fully recommitting to the mission of this institution and reimagining what it must and will become as we continue to educate and empower future leaders of America. Renewal is about refreshing and redesigning our approach to how we serve our students. Texas Southern University has always been a beacon of hope, providing education to those who might not otherwise have attained advanced education, who might those undiscovered gems who without Texas Southern University would not have had the opportunity to contribute to the communities within which they are now excelling. As an engine of renewal, we will advance our students, but also serve as an anchor consistent with our mission as an institution of higher education for the communities all around us. This includes, but is not limited to, our close-in community of the Third Ward, but also the broader Houston metropolitan community. I respect this university's storied legacy, and we will hold true to this legacy, but not in a static way. What may have been done before may no longer apply to the present. Rather, we'll act in a new and fully transparent, balanced, and rational way based on principles that facilitates our ability to view Texas Southern's historic legacy through the lens of the 21st century and continue to evolve, grow, and meet the demands of our students, the citizens of the state of Texas, this region, and that of the future. To renew means our academic programs, our student services, and our partnerships with industry and government must all be refreshed with a sense of purpose and urgency. And I want to emphasize that word of urgency. I take us back to my comments about the baseball and softball complex. You can't wait, can't hope. Hope's not a plan. We have to act, and act with urgency. To enhance is to elevate, to make Texas Southern exceptional. We must commit ourselves to excellence in every endeavor, academically, administratively, and operationally. Whether it's enhancing our curriculum to align with the latest industry trends, improving student support systems, or increasing our research footprint. This HBCU will measure ourselves against the best in higher education. This will be the metric of how we evaluate our progress. Enhancement speaks to our commitment to excellence. Every student, every program, every department, every school, every day. To expand is the future of Texas Southern University. But it's not simply about growth relative to population. Wise population growth, yes, but growth in our reach, our ambition, and seizing opportunity. There's so much more to this approach that we're taking, which will be developed in a strategic restructuring and strategic planning effort that will commence this month. I've identified a strategic development partner that will help us coalesce the observations, the initiatives, the ideas, coalesce the future into an actionable plan. I anticipate signing that contract hopefully this coming week. While I do not have the time to go beyond this notification of commitment action, outcomes. More information will follow, but I will sum up as this. Commitment, as I said, renewal, enhancement, expansion, which you just heard me speak to, followed by action, which I would describe as building in, building up, building out. And I'll pause there and just acknowledge the amazing work. And you're going to see some materials, collateral material that reinforces what I'm about to say. But Charlie Coleman, you're hitting it out of the park, brother. And this university owes you a debt. Building in, building up, building out to attain the third component, which is outcomes. Shared governance is important, but shared governance without outcomes is just thoughts on a whiteboard. Three most critical outcomes: unity, stability, and accountability for everyone in this institution, starting from me on down, and everything that we do. So I'm going to turn to a few specific actions that have been completed or that are in process. As you know, the annual budget was completed, briefed to the Board of Regents, and approved and uploaded to the state of Texas, most importantly, on time and without error. Now that might sound like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Well, you're right. That's what we are supposed to do. But there are those who feel that that's not what we have done historically. Doing that meant something and does mean something. We are in the final reaccounting as the final enrollment numbers have become clear. I anticipate our actual revenue numbers will be as projected. Importantly, for me, as I've said many times, an organization can't grow riding on the back of those who carry the organization. So it was important to me that this budget would include a phase one of establishing a greater compensation equity between the university and our employees at Texas Southern University. This is going to be a three-phase plan, and I'm going to speak to this in a dedicated town hall to that point, to that issue with our faculty, our staff, our entire employee population. Secondly, as you know, I recently had my first hearing in Austin for the legislative appropriations request that we, again, turned in on time without error, and in a way that was rational and something that could be embraced by the leadership of the state that will make the decisions that will impact our future. It's approximately $50 million once finished in general revenue. There is CCAP associated with that, but the important point I wanted to point out was the general revenue component. Three highlights I'll offer to you. As we know, since COVID, it's been a realization that as robust as the U.S. healthcare system is, there is a shortage in various aspects of our system. One of those shortages pertains to nursing. Texas Southern, one of the things I was surprised about is that as an HBCU, we did not have a nursing program. Someone else I want to give a shout out to has been an amazing partner. And I'll tell the story I've told him and others. On that day when I was introduced to an institution as the final candidate for this position, I walked into that public hearing, and I didn't really know anyone in the room. But my eyes located someone that I knew, that I had recognized from a prior institution that I had had some dealings with. And I said just two words: thank God, thank you, Lord, that Carl Goodman is the provost of this university. I have asked Dr. Goodman, Dr. Penn Marshall, and Dr. Crocker to be my consiglieres of sort. Charlie Nunn is still my #1 lawyer. But you know, a consigliere advises you on a little different. And these three wise heads, I'm still looking for a good name. I might even have a competition so you guys can give me a good name that I can call. But these three wise heads have already been pivotal in where we're headed and where we are. The nursing, back to nursing. One of the programs that I presented was a TSU Center for Nursing Education, Research, and Maternal Infant Health. This will start as an online program. It starts online because that's really where we ought to be to explore where we are in delivering nursing education, how we can do so, and how we can expand beyond that. And we're focusing on two areas of health that the deficit in these two areas falls most impactfully on communities of color, particularly our Black community, our expecting mothers and our infants. So to address this critical need, this program is going to be designed to allow working nurses, RNs, to go to BSN, I think, and another program to allow them to come from home from work, take care of their families, but in a very convenient way, increase their education, increase their ability to advance in their profession. It will also serve the communities that have the poorest health outcomes to raise those outcomes for expecting mothers, postpartum mothers, and their infants. The second program I want to highlight that we discussed in Austin was the development of two pharmacy satellite campuses. Our pharmacy program takes a back seat to no program. Give them a round of applause. And I know that's music to Dr. Goodman's ears, considering he's a pharmacist. This satellite campus initiative seeks to bring high-quality pharmacy education closer to underserved communities. And we're doing that in a way by putting these satellites in locations where there are deficits in service. And studies tell you that where medical professionals get their education, it's more likely than not where they will practice. Two satellite campuses, one at South Texas College, STC, and the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston. The STC program will replicate essentially the campus program we have here. It'll be a 4-year program, very much like this one. The Galveston program will be different. It will be an accelerated 3-year program. And we can accelerate it because there's already medical expertise there, obviously, in that medical institute of education that we can leverage to create a program of accelerated pharmacy education. Anticipated opening of these campuses fall 2026. The third program, and I hope you're getting the rhythm, the consistency here. We're not trying to, as I said, shine the apple. There's a lot of goodness here at Texas Southern University. What we're looking to do is diversify Texas Southern University's capacity to deliver advanced education and to advance us into the leading edge of higher education. So this third one is something that I'm really excited about, and we're going to press. Aerospace science. As you know, we have the 54th ranked aviation program in the country, of all aviation programs. Since 2018, it has grown in enrollment by 30%. That is meaningful. We are one of the very few programs, and I believe the only HBCU, aviation program that has two corporate partners, United and Southwest. So our students are graduating, going into pipelines for education, for jobs. That's huge. We're not just here to educate. We're here to build pathways to futures. And that's what we're doing with our aviation program. Engineering is a critical domain in the 21st century. And it's going to be done different than it's ever been done before because of smart machines. We have to design our engineering program in a way that allows it to blossom and grow. You're going to hear more about that as we get into the strategic planning and restructuring effort. But aerospace engineering, the three programs that we are looking at for aerospace science: aerospace engineering, a BS, drone technology studies, unmanned systems, BS, small engine and rocket technology studies, BS. We're doing this not from a cold start. We already have relationships with NASA, the Johnson Space Center, and Blue Origin that we're going to build upon, and others that will enable us to move out into the space. Aviation is certainly different from aerospace, but aviation will also benefit from this aerospace initiative as we place them side by side, perhaps, at Elgin Field. Let's dive more down into the technical. One more point I'll give. I said three, but I'll offer one more. Every day on the news, we hear about artificial intelligence. We hear about how artificial intelligence is going to displace the human in industry. That's only going to happen if that's the way we want it to happen. Yeah, I grew up in an organization that perhaps could argue itself as being the most technologically focused organization on the planet. There's not a piece of technology that the United States Navy doesn't own, use, and exploit to execute its vast missions globally. So I have a sense of how technology impacts and advances, and a sense of how technology does not impact and advance. The technology on its own does not impact and advance. Technology unto itself is just a tool. It's nothing more than the same stone and stick that the caveman picked up as he figured out how to make a fire. Without the injection of human thought, human ingenuity, and the integration of man, machine, i.e. tool, it doesn't matter how advanced that tool is. It will not have the effect or advance our society and create better lives for all of us. So when I'm thinking about how I think about artificial intelligence here at Texas University, we're going to set a set of principles around that, starting first with ethics. Because we're going to look to use AI, exploit it, not only as educating our students in how to thrive in a world of smart machines, but also in our own operations, and also in our own delivery of education and in our learning environment. So I spoke about artificial intelligence at the hearing in a project that you'll hear more about as we move forward. Let's dive down a little bit into some tactical information as I close. Our university profile presently is over 8,700 students, 79% undergraduate. So that tells you one thing without any other stat. We must grow our graduate student population. That's what many of these programs are going to lay in the groundwork to grow that graduate school population. Our demographics, 83% African American, 9% Hispanic. That statistic in Texas should tell you something too. Texas Southern must have a much more robust population of our Hispanic sisters and brothers. This environment is ideal to provide them education. And we're engaged in developing relationships and forming partnerships with Latinx education entities like Excelencia to do that very thing. Output. We have 120 plus degree programs, 1,600 degrees awarded annually. One thing I wanted to focus on, two things. Fall-to-fall persistence, fall-to-fall progression. Progression is the most important. Fall-to-fall persistence. In FY 2021 had been the highest year of fall-to-fall persistence in the history of this university. It was at 68%. Hold that applause for a minute. Think about what was going on in fall of 2021. What was happening? We were wearing some masks, weren't we? We're staying at home. We were delivering education in a much different way. We had 638 students in a school that I just said is a population of 8,700, over 8,700. That allowed such an abundance of concentration effort on these students that it enabled that. So while that is wonderful, what it showed is what we can do. What you want to clap about is that FY 24, 66% at fall-to-fall persistence, with a population of 1,536 students. That was a freshman. Fall-to-fall progression in FY 22 had been the highest at 22.33%, 1,272 freshmen. FY 24, 27% with 1,536 students. Again, our academic leaders using data mining to move our students forward. Example, the College of Disciplinary Studies has been in effect for 4 semesters. In 4 semesters, it has gone out, looking at our data, found students that were near completers that left the institution for a variety of different reasons, were at the verge of completing their degree, had not, and they were out in the world and working. We were able to bring 88 of those students back, graduate all 88 of those students, and recover $2.8 million in lost tuition that we would not have had we not graduated those students. Academics, a data point here that is important for you to know, fall 2024 student enrollment increased by 3%. So those little increments of increase, wise population growth, based on our needs, and we know our needs. One of our glaring needs is housing. We need to be able to house 40% of our entire population. We need to be in a place where our freshmen don't push out our sophomores. You hear about having a robust onboarding program in institutions for freshmen so they can get off to a hot start. Sometimes you forget about last year's freshmen as sophomores and they go into that sophomore slump, feeling a little bit like stepchildren perhaps. What we need to be able to do is ensure we wrap our arms around as tightly around our sophomores as we do our freshmen, preparing them to be upperclassmen when they can be more resilient. So these incremental increases is how we need to be thoughtful about how we grow this institution so that we can create the assets, the needs, facilities that enable them to thrive. Financial aid. I want to comment upon this because this is so important. Not just about being able to pay because education is expensive, but the structure of it. The financial aid scheme for higher education in this country is so complex. Again, I'll give a shout out to Dr. Addison, who and her team did some amazing work. We had that over 8,700% population, an increase in our credit hours from last year because of their great work. They've done a number of things. They simplified the FAFSA process on the webpage. They've increased financial education at the high school level. And I mention this because, and I'm going to talk about another point here, another initiative that's underway that you'll hear more about. I'm tying that financial piece to academics, not just about because we know that it's expensive to go to university, but sometimes I think we think that the reason a student stops out is always about the academic piece. That's usually not the case. It's usually the financial piece. And it's usually something that, if we thought carefully about it, we could design a program to address it. We did that, as I mentioned, with the College of Transdisciplinary Studies. In my conversations with Dr. Crocker, if we are able to address some of the financial shortfall of students that forces some of our students to stop out, we'll drive that 27%, 26% grad rate into the 40% graduation rate. Now that's still 22 points below the national average, but that's a huge leap. And that positions us to take the next leap and the next. So one thing I've asked my stalwart partner and wingman, Dr. James White, is to lead an effort. He's Army, but it's okay. He's Prairie View, but that's okay too. He knew that was coming. So what I've asked him to do is lead an effort within the leadership to think about how can we design a program that enables us to sort of activate what Dr. Crocker talked to me about. If you look at the schools across the country and across the state, whatever system they may be in, they have these things called promise plans. I have an experience with that from my past institution. And what these promise plans generally are designed to do is to enable students to continue to matriculate and graduate, generally in a time phase, generally a 4-year phase. And they we're going to move you through in 4 years. We're going to enable you to continue to move through. You do the academics. You be responsible in every other respect. We'll help educate you about the financial pathways. Then they design a program to try to address some of the shortfalls, because those shortfalls are often sort of small. So instead of having to release them from school, we keep them in. Because when you release them from school, that impacts your grad rate. That impacts their future. So we have a task force looking at this isn't perhaps the name yet, but what a Tiger Promise program would look like. So we can activate that increase from 26, 27 to 40%, and then for 40 and beyond. Development. I've always spoken about the great work that development is doing, but I want to also give a shout out to our alumni. They stepped up to the entreaties of the development department. Alumni giving for FY24 is up over 30%. That is huge. Now, I don't want you to get too excited because I need more from you. So, President, got to keep recruiting and keep asking. But that is huge, and I'm very appreciative for our alumni, some of which are here. And I see our leadership of alumni sitting before us. There's lots of great work going on in development. As I mentioned, there'll be some collateral data coming out to kind of give you a sense of where we're going. I talked about ambition and seizing opportunity. We're not thinking small. That's done. We're open. Thinking big. You think big, you achieve big. My dad always told me, don't think small, son. Think big. Also said, don't read your press clippings. I would come home at night after killing it on the basketball floor, and he would ask me, how'd the team do? And I'd launch into how my stats work. He'd sit and say, how'd the team do? As if I didn't speak. And his point was, you didn't win. The team won. I'm not going to win. This leadership's not going to win. Texas Southern University team is going to win. It's going to require some give and some take. But if we act as a team, some of us throwing the assist, some of us rebounding, some of us scoring, we're going to win. that entire big team. A little bit about business and finance. Our CFO, Mr. Pittman, he's here. Awesome partner, awesome partner. He is bringing not only realism to how we do business, how we think about our dollars, but he's causing people who matter, who watch us, to see that we understand how to steward the dollars, the Texas taxpayer dollars that are given to us, how to steward the enrollment dollars, how to steward the donation dollars, that we can be trusted with the dollars that we're asking for. Give them a round of applause, please. Did a great job in increasing the transparency and methodology for this past budgetary season. What I want to move to now is what I would call strategic budgeting, and also move and increase that transparency so that you see how that sausage is made. And when the answer is no to a request you ask, you can understand why that answer is no. And it's not just arbitrary. That transparency has to be balanced by being effective, acting with speed. So we will continue to work to bring forth that sort of process that makes you have confidence in how we're stewarding these dollars. Facilities and construction, you've seen the signs. I love the Tiger sign out there. His hat fit better than the one they put on me yesterday at the groundbreaking. A shout out to Ms. Melanie Jackson for the amazing work that she's doing. Amazing. I don't get a word edgewise when we're talking, but I'm just teasing you, Mel. But she knows what she's doing, and you can see it. You can see, if you are looking, you can see change happening before your very eyes. You can look at your grounds. You can look in your facilities. Yeah, this more needs to happen. I had a long education with the law school about Thurgood Marshall. We got plans for that. The plans require funding, we'll find it. And it towards time, and we'll use it. But change is happening. Let your eyes see it. It's happening. Let your heart embrace it. It's happening. Become a part of it. It's happening. We are now in the schematic design phase of the 3 new buildings that are going to be brought up. Excited about increasing our capacity to deliver learning, our learning environment, our learning delivery, and our ability to be a partner, as I said, in our broad community as well as in our narrow community. One of the things I'm very excited about in one of these facilities is, again, I was talking about artificial intelligence using in learning and education. But virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality. Those are important methodologies that we should be able to use here at Texas Southern to deliver learning, to deliver education. Complex, so we get, as we know, we have a population, some of our population come from, student population come from uneven K through 12 experiences, which makes their experience in advanced education a little bit more complex sometimes for them. When you have complex concepts, when you can enable them to visualize these complex concepts as opposed to just hearing about it or looking at it on a screen, when you can let them visualize it in a way that they can engage with it, they get that aha moment and they understand it. So one of our buildings is called the Catalyst, until it is named more appropriately, is going to have a VR theater in it. And it's going to have it due to the generous donation of a supporter of Texas Southern University. And it was not a small donation to achieve this. And we will see this. Athletics continues to excel. Men's Triple Crown winners in track, the best athletic program in the SWAC, and the highest performing student athletes in the SWAC. So what I've said to, and I haven't spoken to Coach Jones yet, I'm saying to AD, In March, eventually, I want to go dancing. In March Madness, beyond the first game. That takes us enabling the athletic department to be able to facilitate a team that can do that. And we're working on that, where we all can go dancing in March. One piece of legal information I'll offer, which is good news for us. As you know, we have a facility on campus, the Towers, that through the amazing work by Ms. Jackson's team and cooperative partners, we've been able to keep operating, although there are many issues with it that took us to court with the contractor. We recently settled that litigation for $12.1 million net to the university. There are some things we'll do, a portion of that, but the large bulk of that will go back into the towers, augmented by some other assets that we will have to acquire to make that building what it was originally intended to be in terms of a housing facility. Great work by Charlie Nahn and that team. As I end here, coming to the end, I know you're ready, coming to the end here. A couple of presidential initiatives that I can't speak to them all, but too much. It's been only 125 days, but we must measure them like dogs measure their age because a lot has been going on. We're in the midst of dean searches, about 5, so we can bring permanent leadership to our schools. VP searches will commence. VP searches will commence so we can bring some additional expertise in areas where we do not have it that will enable us to move to that leading edge higher education. I'll just mention it here and won't have time to talk about what I mean by it. But I've had discussions with a colleague of mine who, higher education and business person, about having a human capital institute or laboratory on the campus to balance and activate the AI. More to follow as that develops. And a great initiative in the AI domain that we're engaging with a partner that you will soon hear about that I think is going to make all of you proud. Creating increased entry points with the Department of Defense and trying to determine how we can have our own Corps of Cadets on this campus. In closing, I'll offer this quote that speaks to the philosophy that I bring with me to Texas Southern. As you know, I'm Catholic, and I try to live my faith. I don't always get it right, but I get it wrong more than I get it right. But I mentioned the other evening about a book my dad had me read when I was a young man, about 12 years old. And I gave that same book to my boys when they were 12. It's called I Am Third, about Gareth Sayers' life as a young athlete. And it speaks to his experience with his track coach at Kansas. And when he was a freshman, he would go into his track coach's office and he would see this plaque on his desk that said, I am third. And he never knew what it meant. And as a freshman, wasn't confident enough to ask. So in his sophomore year, he finally asked the coach, what does that mean? And the coach said, God is first. Family, friends, others are second. I'm third. I don't always get it right, but having that plaque on my desk reminds me every day to keep trying. And all I can say to you every day, I'm just going to keep trying. So the Venerable Bruno Lentieri, who was perhaps the most contemplative priest in northern Italy in the 18th century, he spent hours in confession, spent hours supporting the sick, focused on the infinite mercy of the Father manifested through Jesus Christ. All of his teachings reflect this sense of being, this sense of peace, this sense of determination to be better. And he said, I quote, and I love this, if I should fail even 1,000 times a day, 1,000 times, with peaceful repentance, I will say immediately, Nunc Cepi, now I begin. Nunc Cepi's meaning, now I begin, is exactly what it sounds like. These words were often spoken by those who had faced challenges, setbacks, disappointments, who made the deliberate choice to start again, renewed in their resolve and commitment. Nunc Cepi reminds us of the power and significance of beginnings. This is Texas Southern University's new beginning. Of the moment, in this moment, when we decide, despite the challenges behind or ahead, to start anew. Nunc Cepi, now we begin. Thank you.